Let's talk about ADHD for a minute. When you hear that word, the first things that probably pop into your head are focus, hyperactivity, and impulse control, right? But what if I told you that for a huge number of people, the root of the issue might not be their attention span, but their actual sense of time?
Okay, let's really dive into this. There's this growing mountain of evidence that suggests for many, many people, ADHD is profoundly linked to our internal body clock. You know, that circadian rhythm that tells us when to sleep, when to wake up, and when to feel alert.
And look, we are not talking about a small overlap here. A staggering 80% of adults with ADHD also report having significant sleep problems, like insomnia. That isn't just a coincidence. It's a massive, flashing neon sign that something much more fundamental is at play here. So, let's start by uncovering a hidden pattern that is, well, surprisingly common. It turns out that classic night owl persona, for people with ADHD, that's not just a personality trait, it's practically a biological signature. First things first, we need to understand a key term, chronotype. It's a fancy word for something pretty simple. It's just your body's built-in natural preference for when it wants to be asleep and when it wants to be awake. And this, right here, is where things start to get really interesting when we talk about ADHD. Just look at this. Research shows a huge percentage, we're talking up to 78% of people with ADHD have what's called a delayed sleep/wake cycle. Now, this isn't a choice, it's a really powerful biological pull. And that's so crucial because it completely reframes so many of those daily struggles from being about a lack of willpower to a genuine mismatch between your internal biology and the demands of the outside world. So what does it actually mean to have a body clock that's out of sync with, well, pretty much the rest of the world? Here's the core idea. The internal clock in an ADHD brain is often what scientists call phase delayed. Just imagine your body's clock is consistently running an hour or two behind everyone else's. It doesn't matter how many alarms you set, your internal biology is literally living on a different timeline, constantly playing catch up. Now, this isn't just a neat theory. It's backed by some pretty hard biological evidence. So let's take a look at what's actually happening inside the brain that causes this delay. This illustration here shows us the command center for our body's clock. It all starts with light. When light hits our eyes, it sends a signal along this path you see here to a tiny part of the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN for short. This is our master clock, and it controls two absolutely crucial hormones that basically run our daily schedule. First up is melatonin. You've probably heard of it. It's the hormone of darkness that tells our body it's time to sleep. Well, in adults with ADHD, the release of melatonin is delayed, on average, by a full 90 minutes. Their brain literally starts preparing for sleep an hour and a half later than a neurotypical brain. And it's not just about falling asleep. The whole process of waking up is affected too, and that's where cortisol comes in. It's the wake-up hormone, and in ADHD, that morning surge is both delayed and blunted. So not only is the signal to go to sleep late, but the signal to wake up and feel alert is also weaker, and it arrives later. This difference goes right down to the genetic level. Think of the genes that control our body clock as the master gears in a really complex watch. Well, in people with ADHD, research suggests these gears just don't turn as strongly or as rhythmically. From hormones to genes, the entire timekeeping system is running on a different, less robust schedule. So if the clock is out of sync, the big question is, can we actually reset it? Well, the answer is yes, and it brings us to a pretty fascinating field called chronotherapy. Chronotherapy isn't about traditional medication. It's all about using powerful, natural cues, like light and timing, to gently nudge that delayed body clock back into sync with the 24-hour day. It's about working with your biology, not constantly fighting against it. And the tools to do this are surprisingly accessible. We're talking about things like using strategically timed, low-dose melatonin to signal sleep, or powerful bright light in the morning to really kickstart that cortisol surge. Even simple behavioral changes and regular exercise have been shown to help resynchronize the clock. Now, what's really interesting here is just how effective simple changes can be. For example, one study put this to the test. They had a group of night owls follow this simple 3-step plan. And the results? In just 3 weeks, they shifted their body clocks forward by about 2 hours. I mean, that is a massive change from just some basic behavioral adjustments. So what does all of this really mean? It means we have a whole new way of looking at ADHD and a new set of tools to help manage it, all by working with the body's natural rhythms.
The researchers put it perfectly. This is not about replacing standard ADHD treatments, but complementing them. By addressing the underlying circadian rhythm disruption, we can potentially improve both sleep and the core ADHD symptoms. It's like adding a powerful new layer to the whole treatment plan.
Ultimately, by reframing ADHD not just as a disorder of attention, but as a potential disorder of time, we open up a whole new avenue for treatment. And it leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question. What if the key to unlocking your focus during the day actually starts with syncing your body's clock the night before?